Today we're going to take a look at some commands that will make site administration tasks a little bit easier and more efficient. As a site admin, everybody's seen the status report screen that we're looking at here. And everybody's probably used to the giant red box saying, you have module updates, you have security updates. There's also some other information on this page. It's telling us the current version of Drupal that we're using. It's showing our MySQL version and PHP version, which can be handy when it comes to debugging or asking support questions. From the command line using Drush, we can get a lot of this same information with the status command. So let's switch over and take a look at what that looks like. So I'm in my web directory, and I'll run drush status. And it will go through and give us a lot of the same information with a few additions. It will also show us which PHP configuration file, php.ini, we're using. It'll show us our Drush version and any special Drush configuration files that have been loaded. It gives us the path to our web root, our file path, and other information like that, which can be kind of handy. So how do we take care of this module update issue with Drush? The available update screen, I'm sure everyone's familiar with, will show us which modules have security updates, which just have recommended version updates, and whatnot. We can get a lot of this same information from Drush commands as well. So let's flip back over in our web root, and the first command we'll take a look at is part of the project manager. If I run Drush just to get a list of commands, the one we're going to look at first is this PM update code. So this will go out and grab the latest version information from Drupal.org, compare it to what we have locally, and then tell us about any modules that need updates. Anytime I'm looking at a new command, one of the first things I always like to do is to use the help flag just to see what options are available. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you'll see there's a whole bunch of flags you can use this command to integrate with a version control system. A lot of these are from when Drupal.org was still using CVS for package management, and some of them are written if you're using the Bazaar version control system locally. The two I think that are useful, or most useful, are the notes flag and the security only flag. Notes will allow us to just see the release notes for the projects that have updates available, and security only will give us information about updates that are only security releases. If you don't have time to test all of the module updates, that might be a good option. In our case, we'll actually just grab updates for everything, or at least take a look at what's available. So I'm going to use the alias UPC, which will do the same thing. Sometimes it takes a minute because it goes out and pulls in the latest update information from Drupal.org. After it does this, it'll come back with a list of the modules on our site, the version we currently have installed, and the proposed newest version, along with what type of update it actually is. So here in the case of UberCart, we can see that it's just a regular module update, whereas the Devel module, we actually have a security update. As you continue reading down after the table, you'll see it gives us a list of the modules that it wants to update. If we're not currently using version control, it will make a backup of the project in the backups directory, so you have copies of your files. And then it prompts us with a confirm dialog to make sure we actually want to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes and update these modules. And now Drush is going out and grabbing these newest releases for me and letting me know which module it's using and telling me where it's storing the backup. And the last thing it does is clear cache for me, so we'll be using the latest version of the modules on our website. You'll notice the last line here says that we have pending updates, and it gives us a suggestion to run drush update db or visit update.php in our browser. You might be using a tool like supercron or some other method to run cron from the back end of the website, but you can also use Drush for that task. So we can go ahead and take their suggestion and run drush update db, and this will go out and basically do the exact same thing visiting update.php in the browser would. So it comes back with information about the available updates. So it looks like web form has an update, UC order has a few, admin module has one, and UC store has one. So again, we'll just say yes to go ahead and run our database updates. We'll get information back about the queries that have been executed, along with success or failure messages, and it looks like we're all set. So now if I flip back over to our site and I refresh my status page, we should have all green boxes here. And our modules should be updated to the latest supported or recommended releases. Now we can go through and continue testing our site, making sure that the updates didn't break any functionality, and assuming everything's kosher, we can commit that to version control and get it deployed on our live site, so we're ready to go. There's one other command that is helpful that we'll take a look at real quick. If you go back up and just run Drush to get your command list, you'll notice there's PM update, which updates both your code and the database at the same time. So instead of doing what we did and run update code and then separately run update DB, we can use this shortcut of Drush UP, which will actually do both at once. So instead of having to remember the two steps, you can just grab the newest code and automatically run PHP update.php at the end of that process. Okay, some other handy commands that site admins can use are watchdog list. So we're probably familiar with, on the report screen, the recent log entries. This is a good place to find out if image cache is having problems in this case, when cron is run, if there are any other issues or problems with your site. You can also get this information from the command line with Drush as well. So the command is drush watchdog list. And it will come back and ask us which message type or severity level we want to see information about. So in this case, let's take a look at the cron messages. And we'll get the date and the actual message itself. So this is a good way to sort of see what's going on with your site from the command line if you happen to be in development mode or logged into the server and you don't want to use the web UI. Another thing that comes in really handy in an SSH session is clear the cache. You can do that with Drush CC. So that will give us a dialog to select which cache to clear. And the most useful one is all. So we can just select one, hit enter, and then that's actually a cache clear. So we don't need devel module and to go in the UI and clear the cache. We can also just simplify that with drush cc all, and that will also run a cache clear for us. Another really handy Drush command is cron. We can actually just run drush cron, and that will actually go and execute cron.php for us. And now if I run watchdog list again and take a look at our cron messages, we'll see that we have another cron run from running it via Drush. So that can be really handy. One of the really common tasks that you'll run cron for is indexing content on your site for the search module. So if we take a look at some of the other Drush commands that are available, you'll see that there are also 3 for the search module in particular. We can index remaining items, take a look at the current status of search, or wipe the index and rebuild it. So if you have several modules on your site and you find that the search index is taking a really long time to be built, you can actually just log into the site and run drush search index to build the index faster. Let's take a look and see the current status of the search index on this site. Oh, looks like we don't have the search module turned on. So we'll run enable to turn on the search module, and then we'll try that again. So it looks like we have 1,000 nodes on our site and none of them have been indexed. So let's start the index process. And again, with any new command, I like to run help. In this case, it's not all that useful. It just tells us what it's going to do. Building the index may take a long time. So one of the reasons this will take a long time is it's going out and building the search index information about each node. So you'll see that there's a nice handy progress dialog that comes along and mentions sort of where it's at in the process. So you know that something's actually still going on. But it's basically building up data in the search index table for things like text search of node bodies and the like, depending on how you have your search configured. So the more complicated your content types and the larger number of content types you have, the longer this process might take. Now that our search index command has finished, we can take another look at the search status just to make sure that we're actually good. And it looks like we have no items remaining, so all should be well. We can actually hop over to our website and see the same thing. It's also telling us that 100% of the site has been indexed, so we're good to go. Now search should be working on our site. So these are just a few of the commands that will make site administration a little bit easier and a little bit faster with Drush. Especially the update command and update code command can save a lot of time when you have a site with a lot of contributed modules that get releases really rapidly. I know it's definitely saved me a lot of time. We'll be taking a look at some other commands in future videos. If you want to just browse other available commands, you can always just run drush read documentation or run drush command and help to get more and walk yourself through some of these other commands. Thanks.